Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, my parents sent me to a military high school. They keep saying how proud they are of me, but it rings hollow. My mom feels entitled to my inheritance money. She wants to use it to put a down payment on a house. I only found out about it 6 years later because I looked into a cabinet in our house and did some research. Update to the story of my mom feeling entitled to my inheritance money. Well, I had a lawyer send a demand letter and I'm out of the house. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. My parents sent me to a military high school. They keep saying how proud they are of me, but it rings hollow. Both of my brothers went to this school, one then went to the Air Force Academy and the other is in the Coast Guard. I have zero desire to go military, and while my parents would kind of like me to follow in those steps, they are also cool with me not, but they didn't give me a choice on the high school. They said it was better than the local options, more opportunities, and it was a great experience for my brothers. Except I think my brothers love that environment, but I don't. On the very first day they shaved my long hair down to nothing. I hate wearing a uniform at all times, and all the marching/saluting/little other rules just are not for me. And most of the students here kind of love it, and kind of want to do what my brothers did. We just had a parent weekend where I saw my parents for the first time since they dropped me off, and they kept saying how proud they were of me, how I looked great in a uniform, how much straighter I stood, and how much they liked my new hair, a super short buzz cut. It kind of felt like they were knocking how I dressed and wore my hair before going to the school. I kind of had a long hair theater kid vibe. Anyways, it sort of ended with my dad saying it's a big change, but I'll get used to it and may wind up preferring it. Mom/Dad, I'm glad you're happy, but I'm sure not. I'm not my brothers. I'm never going to be my brothers. I have zero interest in pursuing a military career, and being here is not what I would ever choose for myself. I wish you had taken me, my wishes, and the type of person I am in the future I want to pursue into consideration before you decided this. Son, I am a one-dimensional parent and only can see this as the proper path, and you will walk it till I stop paying your bills. Unfortunately, parents like this don't see outside the lines they've previously drawn. Be honest with them. Tell them they prefer you to look this way, you hate it. Tell them they are trying to force you to follow a path and manner they want you to, but that you're miserable, you hate it there, and you want out of it. Oof, I'm sorry. My parents tried to do this with me when I was a teenager for acting out. I was a homebody who had anxiety over breaking the rules ever. I threatened that if they sent me there I'd get myself expelled in any way I could, especially since I had zero desire to join the military like my dad. Good thing my parents are too lazy to follow through on things. I hope you find a way to communicate with your parents in a way that they'll listen. Otherwise, they'll only have themselves to blame if you limit contact with them. I'm sorry you don't like your military school. I'd hate it too. Just think of it as a family legacy. Most kids don't have a good time in high school. While you're there, try to find something you'd like to do after HS. There is no way you have to go into the military. Just say no. Be prepared to be on your own though. Your parents may not pay for college or even support you. Learn to be yourself. You got this. Most US states now have government resources for assisting minors whose parents are forcing them into military schools. Contact your local family services agency and ask. I would communicate with them consistently that you are unhappy, that this is not a good environment for you, and that once you get out of there they'll be lucky to hear from you again. And really, if they continue to force you into the school, get out and get independent as soon as possible, and then you don't really have to deal with them again. My mom feels entitled to my inheritance money. She wants to use it to put a down payment on a house. I only found out about it 6 years later because I looked into a cabinet in our house and did some research. I, 24F, found out earlier this year that I was supposed to receive around $160,000 in inheritance money when my father passed away. I found out by looking into a cabinet in our house. I was compelled to do so because my mother acts rich or poor whenever it suits her, plus other strange behavior. I found a letter that was addressed specifically to me from the life insurance company that had my inheritance. All I needed to do was submit some paperwork and they'd give me a check. I'm not sure how, but my mother somehow submitted documents for me and even cashed the check that was in my name. I'm also not sure why she felt entitled to it when she got $500,000 in inheritance herself. When I confronted her about it, she obviously did not take it well. She was very adamant that it's her money until I informed her that, after I found the documents, I called the life insurance company and received photocopies of the check, the submitted documents, etc. After I told her that, she tried negotiating with me, stating that she can give me $10,000 to start with, and then $2,000 every month. I said no. I said she will guilt me into delaying her payments if we go that route. She tells me she will be homeless if I get all the money at once. I eventually make her show me her bank statements. As far as I know, she has around $330,000. In addition, she's been making six figures with her job for the past 3 years. Homeless my ass. I told her I need a good amount of money if I want to have any chance of moving out. I wanted to move out with my friend, but my mom took way too long to give me any money. I received $50,000 from her. Like a week or so later, she started asking if she could borrow $20,000 for a month. She said she needs it in her bank account so that the lender can approve of the condo or house she wants to buy. She asked if I will be okay, and I stupidly told her that I'd be getting grants from school too. She then wanted to borrow $20,000 on top of the grant money by passive-aggressively mentioning it whenever she could. A few weeks later, she forced me to go with her to the bank to withdraw $20,000. This was on October 3rd. On November 23rd, I asked her to give me $2,000. I told her it's been almost 2 months and I want a portion of it back, via text. She gives me the silent treatment, in text and in person. The next day I try calling her. She starts crying hysterically, saying, "I knew I shouldn't have trusted you with money. What are you doing? Drugs? Are you gambling? Why are you so mean? You ruined my holiday. You've ruined my life. You're abnormal. You're just doing this because you're behind in your life and you're desperate. You don't have utilities to pay for." I spent so much money on food the past month, I'm not exaggerating when I say I've never told her to buy me food or make me food. But she always uses it as a form of guilt. A couple of days later, we have a 4-hour argument. During this argument, I was so disgusted with her behavior that I told her that I want nothing to do with her. A couple of days after that, to my surprise, she comes into my room and asks me to hug her. She starts crying and says that she just suppresses her thoughts and feelings. She says she'll give me $500 now and then $500 on December 22nd? What the hell? I swallowed my anger for a couple of days, but then I could no longer hold it in. I wasn't giving her the silent treatment, but I wasn't looking at her or initiating any form of talking. She notices this and starts asking what's wrong. She goes, "It's the money, isn't it?" and then repeats the same thing she did last time. "Are you gambling? You have no utilities, etc." And again she made it very clear that she wants to buy a condo or a house, I just can't remember which. I told her I'm mad at her because you told me you needed $20,000 for a month. It's been over 2 months and now you're still not giving it. So you lied. After this, she started acting like she was about to cry, and then she left the house. She then transferred another $500. I haven't talked to her since. It infuriates me that she thinks she's entitled to this money. Why do you need a house? You're getting old and you're single. Secondly, not only was this money only in your account in the first place because you committed fraud, but now I let you borrow money, and you're going to treat it like it's an allowance? It's my money. Legally. Get over it. You already got $500,000 before you took my money. Since I was 18, I've been working minimum wage jobs. She's made it so clear as day that she thinks her needs are way above mine. I don't have utilities, I don't have a career yet, so I'm less important. Even if that's factually true, I'm your child and that money is legally mine. Also, I just want to share this example of her behavior that I just remembered. When I was 19, I was working at a tutoring place in addition to a restaurant, while taking 16 units in college, with no car. I was leaving the house one day to go get a haircut. My mom then asked me, "Where are you going?" I told her I'm going to get a haircut. She then says, verbatim, "Really? You're supposed to be using that money to help me." That's how entitled she is. Like OMG. At this point, she received $660,000, while her child, who is a full-time student with 2 jobs and no car, is not important enough to use the money they earn from their job to get a haircut. I'm so mad, and I just have a huge problem with getting this taken care of because I hate making people uncomfortable. This is also why I usually cannot blindside a person by randomly bringing an issue up. I usually have to text them first. But I'm starting to think that that's never a good idea. Ugh. Update January 14, 2023, had a consultation with a lawyer yesterday that said it seems like an open and shut case. They told me to see if I can do a little more digging in regard to my dad's assets before he passed, and to talk to the insurance company to see what my options are, and to call back on Tuesday the 17th. Update 01/03/2023/ not sure if many people will see this, but I've contacted 5 law firms so far for consultations and will be discussing everything with them. I'm still absolutely terrified of going through with anything, but I'm trying to push myself through. I'm terrified that I'm not deserving of the money and that I'm a terrible person for doing this. Get an attorney and sue her, she's manipulating you right and left. And she's falsified documents and stole your money. Press charges. Also, put the bank on notice. They released funds without OP's go-ahead. They are also responsible. Follow this advice op. You will never get the money that is rightfully yours unless you do. Get a lawyer. Mail fraud. Insurance fraud. Identity theft. Why are you being miserable for her? She's very likely ruining your credit and aspects of your future. You don't owe her anything. You need to stop this before it's too far. Also, check and freeze your credit. If you have to sue her for anything else, let's dig it out now. 2 words. Insurance fraud. Your mother stole $160K from you and you're worried about making her uncomfortable? She obviously wasn't uncomfortable forging your signature to steal the money. She has the money in her account and you should demand she repay it in full immediately. She's a shit person for continuing to manipulate you, and so what if she suddenly can't afford something as a direct consequence of her theft? She should be grateful you haven't retained an attorney and come after her or called the police. This is why threats of using law enforcement work. Honey, this is fraud, theft, and blatant financial abuse. You need out, and you need to get your money back from her. Most importantly, never give your mother a single penny ever again. You should also consider getting some help, because she's made it impossible for you to have perspective and realize just how bad she is to you. You deserve better, and your dad wanted you better prepared for life than this. Get a lawyer to do it, and move out. Update to the story of my mom feeling entitled to my inheritance money. Well, I had a lawyer send a demand letter and I'm out of the house. Basically, it took me a very long time to finally accept that nothing I say and do will get through to my mom's head and ego. It was just a year and a half of her attempting to negotiate with me, manipulate me, confuse me, isolate me, etc. I had to go through months of therapy and do lots of introspection and remembering and analyzing my past to really come to this conclusion. I really couldn't believe how weak-minded I was last year. I started talking to a lawyer last month, and that lawyer mailed a demand letter to my mother. I ended up leaving the house before my mom opened it, as in, gathered my essentials and stayed with a friend. My mom hired her own defense attorney immediately. The defense attorney already offered to settle from the get-go, and I'll be hearing that first settlement offer tomorrow. I've been waiting to hear it for nearly 2 weeks now, but I'm sure it'll be an extremely lowball offer, and this'll be dragged out as much as humanly possible. However, we requested the journal entry from the notary that allowed all this to happen, and hopefully the notary's journal and their reply will be all we need to permanently have the upper hand here. But just for my own sake, I need to prepare for the worst. I'm currently couch surfing, living with certain friends on some days and certain friends on other days. I have some job interviews in this upcoming week and school resumes in the next couple of weeks, so I'll be thoroughly distracted but also insanely stressed. Meanwhile, my mother is on vacation for the next 3 weeks. I just have to remind myself that this is temporary, and that I'm paying my lawyer on a contingency fee and she is paying her lawyer probably by the hour. Plus, doesn't it usually get far worse before it finally gets better? Someone please tell me yes, lol. I have to thank you guys as being part of the equation that helped me take the next step. Hopefully soon, I'll be out of this mess and I'll be able to live a new life. I get the lawyer to put Eileen on your mother property as she owes you money but is not paying the debt. This would stop her selling the property until she pats everything you are legally owed. I don't think we've really gotten to that point where we're trying to figure out where all her money is yet. She immediately offered to settle and then, for some reason, stated, via her lawyer, she needed 2 weeks to come up with said offer. That first offer will be known to me tomorrow, and I'm absolutely dreading it. That part you're talking about might come in later if she claims she cannot pay our counteroffer. Which she better not. At this point, I hope you'll be asking for what she owes plus interest for how long you've been waiting for it and the cost for the lawyer. It's definitely with interest. My lawyer assured me of that. Not sure what the total amount will be yet. Have you blocked all methods of credit in your name and wondering how many loans/cards she took out in your name? Also get a forensic accountant to see what she has been doing with that money. Did she pay tax on it? Are you liable to pay tax on money she has withheld from you? What has she been spending all of that money on? I assume when your dad died the insurance paid off the house in full. Glad to hear things are moving forward. She is trying to spend the money though. 3-week vacation, not good. Maybe ask your lawyer about having the courts freeze her money until the trial, if the offer is really lowball. Would not wait on too many offers before filing suit. You can settle out of court while the trial date is pending. But it will be for a higher number. I hope you get the money and interest. From what I was able to find before I left the house, whatever she spends on that vacation will probably just leave a tiny dent in her wallet. She's a hoarder, from what other family members have told me. I kind of wish I hired a private investigator or a forensic accountant, but oh well. I'm sure your lawyer has mentioned this, but maybe you should keep in your back pocket that you can go to the police and have your mother charged with fraud and identity theft. Not sure where you live, but in my state, you have 3 years to file charges, so it should not be outside the statute of limitations. If your mother starts dragging it out, you should ask her how her employer would respond to a fraud charge against her. Maybe that will speed negotiations in your favor. Good luck, Opie. Clean her clock and then cut her off completely. Your mother is a true narcissist. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.